All right, how you guys doing today? We about to hop into Second Corinthians chapter 11. First things first, don't make sure you like that video. Hit a little exit full screen, scroll a bit, like it, and then full screen it back up. You feel me? I slept for 11 hours today. It's my day off. I forgot we have our store meeting. Of course, it has to happen on a day that I have my day off. But other than that, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing pretty good. We slept for 11 hours. Finally caught up on sleep. Went to the gym for the first time since I was at school yesterday. I think it was the first time I lifted since like May 14th or 13th or something like that. So feeling good, feeling nice and sore. My brother took me through a pretty much whole body workout. So everything is pretty sore, which is nice. If we went to the gym last night, we went to Walmart because it was right next door. And while we was there, we was in line at the end of getting all the stuff, and some guy was singing. I heard some guy start mumbling behind me, and I was like, random guy singing in Walmart, whatever. And then I just hear, he won't, he won't fail. He won't. And I was like, I know that song. That's a worship song. I couldn't tell you the name. I just know it because I've heard it so many times. And I'm like, yo, that song slaps. And we get to talking, whatever. I get his number, bros, telling us he goes to church. And I'm like, oh, he's gone to that church before, blah, 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 blah. And then we outside, we praying and all that. So it was a nice little encounter at Walmart just because the guy behind us was singing. And I turned around. It was just like, yo, that song slaps. You know what I'm saying? So this follows everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And that made me feel really good, man. That really made me feel really good that I could meet some random dude. We prayed together, and that it just felt really nice. But yeah, I watched the sermon this morning. He didn't necessarily touch on verses, more so as a chapter as a whole. He mostly just talked about how we have these weapons of warfare. The sermon is about the weapons of warfare, which makes me think it wasn't really a good sermon for my questions, which makes me think I might have to go to an outside, find somebody else's sermon to see if they want to touch on it, because my questions were on verse 6 and verse 12, which, maybe he just assumed were pretty straightforward. And maybe I had what I said in the previous video correct, but nonetheless, the weapons of warfare, though, is the powers of God through the powers of prayer. And the word of God is called the sword of the Spirit, he said. And anything we can accomplish through prayer. Anything we can't accomplish, God can accomplish through our prayers. And that's the number one thing. And he brought up James chapter 4, or James chapter something, verse 4, whatever, I don't remember. I think it was James chapter 1, verse 4, where you resist the devil and he'll flee from you, but submit yourselves to God. And he says too often people, they chop off the end. They just said resist the devil and he'll flee, but you have to submit yourself to God. When you're dealing with these things, we're so quick to, grab hold of something else. Oh, I'm going through this. Let me do this to try to make it feel better. No, you have to pray. And even I fall victim to that. I need to pray more when I'm faced with certain temptations, or when I notice myself doing something. I just need to say a quick prayer. God, please let me work on this. You've allowed me to acknowledge it in this current moment, but please take this away from me next time I'm tempted with it, whether that be my words, my thoughts, or my actions, or something along those lines. That's how I want to look at it. You know what I'm saying? If I acknowledge it, God gave me the power of grace to acknowledge it and know that I did it. And if he knows that I know that I did it, he's also expecting me to pray to him about helping it, because I can't do nothing through my own, for real. There may be some things where you can try to muscle through your own, but that's when that temptation keeps coming back and back and back, because you're relying on you, not on God. And that's the issue when it comes to sins with, repetitious temptations. You don't fully kill them. They just keep coming back because you're relying on you and your simple desires to keep creeping up back, and you and your human might to take it away. But we know that God's is enough to take down strongholds, and even brought up the meaning of the strongholds and how it can be translated as a deeply ingrained belief as well. And that's what sin is. It's just so far gone. You know what I'm saying? When you have certain habits, they're just so far ingrained that, you can't dig this out. Think about a plant, you know what I'm saying? It's got roots so deep down, you can't dig out a tree with your bare hands. But you know what can? A cat, super claw machine, whatever, that can take it out. And that's essentially what God's spiritual weapon is the cat straw machine. And you out here are trying to dig up a tree with your bare hands. You can't get to those roots. You may be able to chop it down with a chainsaw, but guess what? Those roots are still there. That tree can still grow back. But God, he says, oh, don't worry, my boy. Don't worry. I'm chopping it down with a chainsaw, and I'm coming in with the cat, and I'm taking the roots out of that tree and coming back. You know what I'm saying? So we have to stop relying on our own self and start pushing our work on God through the power of prayer, because even then, He wants to do this for us. He wants us to choose him. And then in turn, he gives us that grace, which we know from the last video, or 2 videos ago now, multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. You just keep getting more of it and spreading the word, and the word keeps going, and this is other people and other people getting their grace, and it's just a beautiful cycle. And that's all we have to do. It's so much easier than we really think it is. You just choose God, talk to God, have a relationship with God, somebody who's got all the answers. It's crazy that we don't look to him all the time. You may Google all your answers, but guess what? God's the bigger Google. You just gonna have to wait until he shows you the answer, essentially. But guess what? He gonna do it. Jesus said, if you ask in my name, it's gonna happen. You just gotta have that faith, and then you good. On to chapter 11. I hope you will put up with me in a little foolishness. Yes, please put up with me. I am jealous for you with a godly jealousy. I promise you to one husband, to Christ, so that I might present you as a pure virgin to him. But I'm afraid that just as Eve was deceived by the serpent's cunning, your minds may have somehow been led astray by your sincere and pure devotion to Christ. For if someone comes to you and preaches a Jesus other than the Jesus we preached, or if you receive a different spirit from the spirit you received, or a different gospel from the one that you accepted, you put up with it easily enough. I don't think that I'm the least inferior to those super apostles. I may just indeed be untrained as a speaker, but I do have knowledge. We have made this perfectly clear to you in every way. Was it a sin for me to lower myself in order to elevate you by preaching the gospel of God to free you of charge? I robbed other churches by receiving support from them so as to serve you. When I was with you and needed something, I was not a burden to anyone, for the brothers who came from Macedonia supplied what I needed. I have kept myself from being a burden to you in any way, and will continue to do so. As surely as the truth of Christ is in me, nobody in the regions of Asia will stop this boasting of mine. Why? Because I don't love you? God knows I do. I will keep on doing what I'm doing in order to cut the ground from under those who want an opportunity to be considered equal with us in the things they boast about. For such people are false apostles, deceitful workers, masquerading as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. It's not surprising then if his servants also masquerade as servants of righteousness. Their end will be what their actions deserve. I repeat, let no one take me for a fool, but if you do, then tolerate me just as you would a fool, so that I may do a little boasting. In this self-confident boasting, I'm not talking as the Lord would, but as a fool. Since many are boasting in the way the world does, I too will boast. You gladly put up with fools since you are so wise. In fact, you even put up with anyone who enslaves you or exploits you or takes advantage of you or puts on air or slaps you in the face. To my shame, I admit that we were too weak for that. Whatever anyone else dares to boast about, I'm speaking as a fool. I also dare to boast about. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they Abraham's descendants? So am I. Are they the servants of Christ? I'm out of my mind to talk like this. I'm more. I have worked much harder, been in prison more frequently, been flogged more severely, been exposed to death again and again. 5 times I received from the Jews the 40 lashes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods, once pelted with stones. 3 times I was shipwrecked. I spent a night and a day in the open sea. I have been constantly on the move. I have been in danger from rivers, in danger from bandits, in danger from my fellow Jews, in danger from Gentiles, in danger in the city, in danger in the country, in danger at sea, and in danger from false believers. I have labored and toiled, and often gone without sleep. I have known hunger and thirst, and often gone without food. I have been cold and naked. Besides everything else, I face daily the pressure of my concern for all the churches. Who is weak, and I do not feel weak? Who is led to sin, and I do not inwardly burn? If I must boast, I will boast of the things that show my weakness, that God the Father, the Lord of Jesus Christ, who is to be praised forever, knows that I am not lying. In Damascus, the governor under King Aretas in the city of Damascenes guarded in order to arrest me. But I was lowered in the basket from the window in the wall and slipped through his hands. Paul was saying, I'm talking my ish. I'm standing on all the business in this chapter, bro. He said, I got beaten. I went without hunger. I was shipwrecked. I got blah blah blah. He's like, I can boast too, but you don't see me doing that. I'm boasting in the works of God. I'm not boasting in me. And that's really what he said, bro. He stood on that. He said, I see these super apostles. They saying, oh, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. Paul said, y'all ain't like me. You got beat 40 times, shipwrecked, boom, beaten with stones, blah 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 blah, hunger, spend a night in open day and open sea. I don't think so. I see how this chapter can be split into 2 dang parts because I'm about to watch them because Paul was talking some talking. It's a long one too. You know, it was like 16 verses. This one 30 some. So yeah. And Paul said, hey. At first I was wondering what he was about to get into. You know what I'm saying? Bear with me while I be a little. You know what I'm saying? Bear with my silliness. You know what I'm saying? He said, watch my little silliness. All right, I'm about to take y'all through a little adventure. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm jealous, godly jealousy. You should have been espoused to one husband, that I may present you as a virgin to Christ. But I fear, by any means, the serpent tricks you, even through his subtlety, should your minds be corrupted from the simplicity that's in Christ. And it's really so simple. You just have faith through grace, or my bad, you get grace through faith, boom. You pray your temptations away, boom. You get rewards in heaven, boom, you're saved. Well, you're saved just from the grace through faith, but you know what I'm saying? The extracurriculars, they pretty simple too, like I just said in the beginning. For he that cometh preaches another Jesus, whom you have not preached, or received the Spirit, which you have not received, another gospel, which you have not accepted. You might as well bear with him, for I suppose that it was not a wit behind the very chiefest of apostles. I was not a wit. What is a wit? A phrase, not a wit. It seems to be I was not nobody. No man, nothing. I was nothing, essentially. Okay. I was saying I was a nobody behind the chiefest apostles, though I'm rude in speech, yet not in knowledge. We have been thoroughly made manifest among you in all things. I've committed an offense in abasing myself, that ye may be exalted. Have I committed an offense in abasing myself, that ye may be exalted, because I preached you a gospel freely? What's abasing? Have I committed myself, or have I committed an offense in making myself low, aka being humble, that ye may be exalted? Have I committed offense in that because I preached you the gospel freely? You know, back when he said, Jesus made himself poor so that you may be made rich, he could be basically saying he did that as well. Which you dang near did after you saw all that stuff he was talking. Robbed other churches, and I think this is where the silliness starts. I robbed them other churches, taking wages of them to help you. I was presented to you, and I was chargeable to no man, for that which was lacking to me the brethren came from Macedonia and supplied. All things I've kept myself from being burdensome unto you, and so I will keep doing. Truth of Christ is in me, and no man's gonna stop it. Why? Not because I love you. God knows I do. He knows I love you, but what I do, I will do, that I may cut off occasion from them which desire occasion, that wherein they glory they may be found, even as we. I don't really know what that means in terms of occasion. Cut off the attack that they wish to do from those that are tired, that desire the attack on which they wish to do. Place them where movement of attack is made. So they want this occasion, they want to attack Paul. He's trying to cut off the attack from which they desire attack, I believe. There's some other definitions, but I don't really think they work the same way. They wherein they glory that they may be found even as we. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ. And no marvel, for Satan himself has transformed into an angel of light. So it's not a great thing as if, the ministers be transformed into ministers of righteousness, who shall be according to their works. What? Oh, Satan's ministers. Okay. And he's saying whose ends shall be according to their works. So they'll get judged based on their works. And we know that since every man has sinned, you're cooked. No man think me of a fool. Otherwise, if a fool, yet as a fool receive me, that I may boast a little. Oh, he's saying, again, nobody thinks of me as a fool. And if you want to, then receive me as a fool. Let me talk my talk real quick. And I'm going to speak. I'm going to speak it not after the Lord, but as it were foolishly in this confidence of boasting. Yeah, hear me out. See that my glory after the flesh. Shoot. Y'all gonna talk about you? Let me talk about me too. For you free suffer gladly, seeing yourselves that you are wise. You allowing these fools to talk, seeing that you're so wise. For if you allow it, if a man's gonna take you into bondage, if a man's gonna eat you, if a man's gonna take you, if a man insults himself, if a man smites you on the face. Wait. You're going to allow a man to take you into bondage. You're going to allow a man to devour you, a man to take you, a man to exalt himself and slap you in the face. I speak concerning reproach as though we had been weak. Was Paul saying they allow this to happen just so they can brag about it? He says, I speak concerning reproach. Let's see what reproach is, just to make sure that we know how he's coming. Dishonor, disgrace. Dishonoring. Okay, so Paul talks about dishonor. So I speak concerning dishonoring or disgracing as though we had been weak, as though I was weak. I'm about to speak as disgracing as though I was weak, right? Howbeit, I'll use two words that are just three plus words in one. So howbeit and so whereinsoever. But okay, so howbeit is but basically. And this one is just in, by, or with. So but with, or but in. But with any that's bold, I speak foolishly. I'm bold too. Are you Hebrews? Me too. Israelites? Me too. Are they descendants of Abraham? Me too. You talk about Christ? I'm speaking as a fool. I'm more than you. You a minister of Christ? I'm better than you. He's speaking as a fool. He wouldn't necessarily do this before. He would have just said, "Oh, you're me too, man. We're both ministers of Christ. That's cool, bro. Dap you up real quick, right?" But no, he says, "You minister of Christ, huh? Don't get me started. I'm more to you, my boy. Were you stricken blind? Did you say, did he come and get you? Did he tell you to do what I do? No, he dang did not. You know what I'm saying? And labors, I brought more. Stripes above the measure, me did that. Prisons, I went there more than you. Deaths, often. Of the Jews, 5 times I got beat. Thrice I was beaten with them rods. Got stoned. I was in a shipwreck thrice. A night and a day I was in the deep. And journeyings often, perils of water, perils of robbers, perils by my own countrymen, perils by the heathen, perils in my city, perils in the wilderness, in the sea, in the false brethren that I was among, in weariness and painfulness, and watchings often, in hunger and thirst, in fastings often, and cold and naked I was there. You mean in watchings? Gone without sleep, okay. He's just checking out. Besides those things that are outside, that which cometh upon me daily, the care of all the churches. Well, apart from those things that are outside, that which cometh upon me daily is the care of all the churches. Who's weak? And I'm not weak. Who's offended? I don't burn. But if I must needs glory, if I must needs glory, I'll glory in the thing which concern my infirmities, that God the Father of Jesus Christ, who's blessed forevermore, knoweth that I lie not. He's still boasting. I think he boasts through the whole chapter. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna watch the sermons, you know what I'm saying? We gonna understand. All right, that's gonna be the end of the chapter. Hope you guys have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.